Boy, do I have a fun build for you guys today. I do a lot of builds, but every now and again, a build comes across my desk that I'm like, holy crap, this sounds like a ton of fun, and this is one such build. By the end of this build, we are going to be able to do so many things that just other characters aren't doing. It's going to feel like we have a ton of optionality, and it just has that fun, visceral D&D ridiculousness that I love so much. All right, folks, let's do this. Now, this is technically a challenge build, but it's actually 3 challenge builds. Challenge number 1 comes from Matthias, who asked me to do a build that involves using rocks and trees and other inanimate objects as our weapons. Sick. Gonna do that in this build. Challenge number 2 comes from Lars, who asked me to use my enemies as weapons against my enemies. That sounds hilarious, let's do it. And finally, Gingerbread asked me to make a WWE fighter, and he said don't just do simple grappling, do special moves like suplexes and have taunts that the WWE fighters are known for. There's a lot of fun to be had there. Now, I spent quite a bit of time thinking about this build. I seriously thought about Paladin because they have that charisma that WWE fighters are known for, and I don't do many Paladin-based grapple builds, so that was definitely an option. Barbarian, of course, for any grapple build is definitely a consideration, so I looked over there, but I actually found my answer with Fighter. Fighter does a couple key things for us. Number 1 is it gives us the unarmed fighting style. We're not using weapons. We're either using improvised weapons or the weapons that Mama gave us. Now, when it comes to Mama's weapons, they usually suck until you take that unarmed fighting style, and now they're actually doing decent damage. And on top of that, since we're grappling so often, that extra D4 of grapple damage that comes from the unarmed fighting style is just the cherry on top. Now, the second thing that Fighter gives us is Rune Knight, and that's going to open up so many doors for us. But before we get there, let's discuss a couple other elements of the build that make it all come together. Our lineage is going to be Satyr. The main reason why is that Satyr allows us to have mirthful leaps, which adds a D8 to any jump we make. Now, jumping rules are kind of interesting in 5e. It's basically going to be our high jump is what we're going to be looking at. Now, high jump rules are your strength modifier plus 3, and if you reach up, you can grab onto a ledge that's 1.5 times your height. So the taller you are, the higher a jump you can get, which is pretty interesting. Now we have the Satyr, we have the Rune Knight. Well, we also need the Tavern Brawler feat. The Tavern Brawler feat is going to give us proficiency in improvised weapons, which we're going to be using a lot. And it's also going to allow us to make a grapple attempt whenever we make an unarmed strike or a improvised weapon attack with our bonus action. So now we can do bonus action grapples. That's really interesting. Combine those 3 things. Combine a Satyr with the Rune Knight with the Tavern Brawler feat, and it opens up so many interesting synergies and doors of just really creative combat. So let's kind of dive into that a little bit. The Satyr makes it so we can jump higher, and by being large from being a Rune Knight also makes us jump higher. And then you jump and you have these better than average jumps. Let's say we have 3 strength, we get a running high jump. Well, that is normally going to be 6 feet. Now we add a D8 with the Satyr. Now we get them over that 10-foot threshold. That's really important. And then we can reach over our head, so they end up going our height and a half as well. So we get them pretty dang high, and then we can slam them in the ground. And if we're allowing Tasha's variant rules, and we then fall on top of them. So not only did they take their fall damage, they might take half of our fall damage as well if they fail their dex check. Now, there's a lot of ifs in that. This is definitely a DM dependent build. It's just going to be that way. But rules as written, maybe with some of those variable rules, we should be able to very consistently weaponize our movement into slamming our foes into the ground, getting them fall damage, potentially even our fall damage. There's a lot of fun to be had there. But by having Tavern Brawler, we also open up a bunch of interesting combos. For example, we may start the combat out by grappling a goblin. Pick it up and we whip it around and we make an attack with the goblin as our improvised weapon into a goblin. Smack that goblin with this goblin. Maybe they both take damage, however your DM decides to rule it, whatever. Now we can bonus action grapple an enemy, so we can pick up the goblin we just smacked with a goblin, and now we can have 2 goblins in our hands ready for the next turn, where maybe we're going to go large, smack other people around, jump in the air, smash them in the ground. Maybe we put them into a dog pile and pick up a tree and then do an attack. Like, the amount of creativity with this build is absurd, and it just sounds like such a fun build to play. I would call this a DM check build. That for some DMs, you're going to take this awesome concept that really is rules as written for the most part, and they're going to be like, oh no, it's just unbalanced, blah, 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 and it's going to be really unfun. And then there's going to be DMs who love this and are going to make it so much fun for you to play. And I think it's a really good build for just like, if you want to be like, yo, I want to check how fun this DM is, this is the build I'd go with. But part of the challenge was actually talking about some of these WWE taunts, and I really feel like like we can find some interesting things in our runes. Now, normally I wouldn't recommend the Frost rune, but even its passive ability to give us advantage on our intimidation checks is pretty interesting, because we can be this big, intimidating WWE fighter. But additionally, as a bonus action, we can allow an ability to basically get +2 to all of our grapple checks. So now we're going to have advantage and +2, and probably proficiency. So there's definitely a lot of fun to be had there. Stone rune also really fits this flavor because it allows us to target someone, they have to make a wisdom save, and they might just be dazzled by our glory. So there's basically some sort of taunt mechanic, more like they're just intimidated by us or dazzled by us. So we have a couple special moves here. We definitely have like the suplex where you pick them up, jump high in the air, and smash them in the ground. So we have that special move. And then we have the stone rune taunt, so we have that special move. Then we have special moves where we can like pick up a chair, smash them with it, grapple them, pick them up, and throw them into an enemy. There is so much we can do with this build. When we're doing these D&D builds, it's really easy to fall into digits, right? I jump 14 feet high, so it does D6 damage plus this, then I fall on them, XYZ. I think that is fine, but that's not for this build. This build is about creativity. This build is about interesting. There's a tree there, there's a person there, there's a rock there, there's a rope there, and there's a goblin over there. How do I put this all together to do the funnest, coolest, most stylish thing at the same time as being effective? That's what this build is all about. I would play this build in an instant, but I would love to hear what you guys would have done given the same challenges. I want to give a big thank you to the Deck of Many Encounters, the sponsor of this video. The deck is a 24-card, double-sided deck that has one side for the DM and one side for the players. Has all sorts of quirky encounters on it, including undead bands and gambling orcs, a bunch of other cool ideas. Now, when I got this, I expected it to be a beautiful deck with cool encounters, and it met that expectation. But what I didn't expect is it also came with this neat business card. Now, this business card has a dungeon on the back of it, and it has a pencil that you can roll like dice, and then you generate the dungeon. I've recently been getting into dungeon creation, and I was pretty impressed that I was able to do some one-page one-shots. So it's really impressive that they did a randomly generated dungeon on a business card that you can just goof around and play with. I thought that was really neat and wanted to share it with you guys. If you want to find your own Deck of Many Encounters, you can find it in the description down below. And again, I just want to say thank you so much for sponsoring this video. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.